Sorry, metamorphosis. It's a biological process whereby an animal changes from one form to another within a short span of time. That's what metamorphosis is. And that's why I chose to write about it. Because later on, as humans, we go through metamorphosis and it might be different.
Ooh, dry. How we doing? How we doing? Look, hey, no lega jo, mpotse no lega ora manjo ke mama go ka eno tlohela jo a ke dilo tsa mabane ke steng ora ni.
Yo, Bafetu, welcome back to yet another session at WORD. Hashtag let the spoken word do what it does best and speak for itself. Yo, that's a very long hashtag, man.
It is.
Yeah, Bafetu khutile again. So today, ke join and ke cheat for a conversation with Tumelo Koko. Tumelo Koko, I hope I pronounced that right.
Yeah, Tumelo Koko.
Dog, thanks for joining me on this session,
bro.
Wabo.
Thank you for the invite.
Yeah, you are an author, dog. This is crazy.
Thank you, bro. I'm surprised as a young person.
Imagine.
How did it come to be?
How did it come to be, dog? How did it come to be?
So I was born in Benoni.
Yeah.
And then Gafola for a couple of years in Limpopo, and then I went back to Benoni, which is where I spent most of my years. So from Benoni, I came here to Joburg, Getana Vets, you know. So when I came to Vets, I was able to join certain communities that helped me form who I am, and that helped me come to be a published author of this book called Metamorphosis. So part of the communities that I joined is Club Readership and Faculty of Best Advisory. So Club Readership is a publishing company, and Faculty of Best Advisory is a volunteering, it's an NGO that helps high school children assimilate into university. It also helps them apply to universities.
I see.
So they have a mentorship program and a career guidance program. So through FBA, I was exposed to this opportunity, Township Narratives. And Township Narratives, entering through the process of becoming an author, and Lebona, they're the ones who published my book.
I see, Township Narratives. Damn, Ejo, if this was a job interview, tell us about yourself. I was like, you got the job, dog. You know?
Thank you.
Yeah, this is really inspiring, dog. So yeah, we're talking about Township Narratives, having been the program that helped you become a young black author. You know, how did you find Township Narrative, and what do they actually do?
So what they did, how I found them was I was in a group chat, Faculty of Best Advisory. So they always share opportunities, whether it's job opportunities, schooling opportunities, or certain things like that. So one of the posters that I was sent was Township Narratives. So Club Readership and two Sakamala motivational letter, I sent it to them and accepted into the program.
Damn,
So what they did, they took me through the process. They taught me about writing, about dialogue, character creation, and things like that. And I took those skills and applied them to my story, the stories that I was trying to create. So when I started the program, I didn't have any story. It was just a blank sheet. So what I did, I introspected. I'm like, what exactly do I want to talk about? What would I like to write about? The best story that I know is my own story. So I decided to write about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I amalgamated my story and the stories that I've heard from my cousins, the stories that I've experienced, and I put them all into what became Metamorphosis.
Damn.
So in putting those lessons, I was also able to tackle the obstacles that I went through. I spoke about those issues and how I was able to overcome them.
I want to see myself become a published author one day. You know, do you think maybe there is a hack or a way that I can say, me as a disadvantaged young person from the township can take, you know, to finally end up getting a published author?
The one thing that I always did, and the one thing I would encourage everyone to always do, to be a perpetual learner. Always be learning. Now that's how I came to be where I am. I was always learning. Even in high school, let's say 20 megabytes of that. 10 of those megabytes would go to some Googling research about astrophysics or whatever.
But when how is it? The status is WhatsApp, dog.
And that's where the other 10 megabytes goes to, because you gotta strike a balance. I can't neglect my social life. Humans are social beings. So I try to do both. It's a matter of not focusing entirely on one thing.
That's deep.
If your 20 megabytes all goes to social media all the time, are you improving your life?
Absolutely not. Absolutely
What
not.
I also try to do, you can incorporate your learning into your social media time. Follow educational pages. Do that. So as soon as we scroll, something interesting comes up. Or hey, here's an interesting fact. You learn something.
You learn
but
something,
you're on social
absolutely.
media.
You write about financial literacy, right? That's a very important thing. What I see, we lack so much in our communities. And why did you start doing this? About writing about literacy.
What you just said right
finance?
now, we lack this in communities. We lack the conversations. We don't talk about these things. Shelete is a behind closed doors conversation. And even behind those closed doors, the children aren't present. That should change. We should be inclusive in the conversations that we have. I should be able to ask you, if we're colleagues, how much are you getting paid if we're doing the same job? If we don't have these conversations, these are how disparities happen, and these are how some inequalities happen, because they make these behind closed doors conversations. Even in the home, this is how kids suffer, because aba understand or this is why or here's how we can change our situation. Here's how I can suggest an input. Hey, why don't you change our bank from FNB to this, or from something to that? Because kids also have insights.
Yeah, I think they do.
And in including them, they're also learning. Whatever mistakes you made, they won't make as well, because they've learned from you.
Back to metamorphosis. Get your dictionaries, Fafetu. like, please don't lie to us, dog. Don't lie to us. Yeah, it really
So
was.
before we digress, metamorphosis, it's a biological process whereby an animal changes from one form to another within a short span of time. That's what metamorphosis is. And that's why I chose to write about it. Because later on, as humans, we go through metamorphosis, and it might be different from, let's say, frogs or caterpillars. But it is our own metamorphosis.
Yeah, sure.
I can go from being a very selfish person to being selfless. Because I realized my selfishness was hurting the people around me.
Or maybe to get another example of it, would you even say, the transformation at a tadpole to becoming a frog is metamorphosis?
That definitely is metamorphosis. Because Wabana Itomakadi gills, which are adjusted to breathing in water, and then it ends up with having lungs, which are adjusted to breathing in air and on land. That is definitely a metamorphosis.
And everybody's going through a metamorphosis one way or another, because it is change. But it's very sad to see how sometimes this change is not for the better, because the caterpillar is ugly as fuck, but if you see a butterfly, it's beautiful
and it can fly.
You get what I'm saying? So would you say if it's reverse done, it's no longer metamorphosis, or is it the same thing? Because sometimes you can transform from better to worse, and sometimes you transform from being worse to understanding into a better and become a butterfly. So it is the same thing essentially.
It is. Whether I'm changing from better to worse or from worse to better, I'm changing. That's the fundamental basis. The fact that there is a change makes it a metamorphosis.
How have you went through change in your life? And what are those changes?
One major change is me changing my degree from astrophysics to mathematics. That was a metamorphosis that I went through, because it took some introspection, and I realized my heart may not lie in astrophysics. So let me try and see where exactly does my heart lie. And it landed up on mathematics. So I metamorphosed into the mathematics degree.
Damn. Joe, having come from a black family, when you tell them that you're changing your course, what was the conversation?
Of course, it's always difficult, especially how I went about it. I may have been a bit irresponsible. Should I indulge?
Please.
Okay, so what I did during last year was my second year. Mara, I had failed, so it was my second year. During the middle of the year, I was like, my heart doesn't lie in astrophysics. So I'm letting go. I literally stopped studying, I stopped writing tests, I stopped everything. So I got academic exclusion from Wits. And having that convo with my parents, I let go because my heart didn't lie there. They found that difficult to understand. But now I told them, either way, I will go back to Wits. And now I'm still at Wits.
Do you think sometimes our parents' judgment on these decisions that in our lives is kind of like motivated by lack of understanding?
It's motivated by two things. The lack of understanding and it's care. Our parents do care about us.
That's
Mara,
true.
that care it's like that lack of understanding where abakushishi the modern age that we're living in.
Yeah.
Abakushishi the opportunities that are available besides university.
Yeah.
But they don't understand the fact that I can quit Wits right now and still become a success.
Yeah.
They don't understand that there's a disparity between our generation and theirs, and it's also an information disparity. They don't have access to the information that we have.
Deep dog. You being such a focused nigga. You too focused. And even when I called you up for a collab, it's because I liked your work ethic, you know, and I wouldn't mind working with you because I know that you would push me to the limits, you know, and sure, I like surrounding myself with people like that.
Thank you.
So, all of this focused, each and every young kid, okay, not each and every one, but most of the young people in South Africa,
Ish.
right? Right. So how do you? What are you? Let's start there.
Yes, I'm in a long-term relationship right now. I've been in a relationship for 6 years.
How long? Long distance. They never work out.
That's debatable.
Yeah, well, I guess. Probably, maybe you were once in.
I was once.
Okay, we'll talk about that.
In 2017, I was in first year. I saw her once every month.
Every month.
Yeah, I consider that long distance because it means for in total like money 12 times
in 360. 5 days. Yeah.
Exactly.
Damn.
So that was long distance, but it still worked out. Nagu, 6 years later, we're still together.
And that was probably motivated by your ideas about relationships.
It was motivated by the fact that we were both committed to each other.
Yeah.
That mutual commitment is very important in a relationship. Otherwise, later,
how do you understand yourself while you're trying to understand another person in a relationship and just make it work? You know, like, how do you make it work for you?
It's a daily struggle because every day should be an active effort.
Yeah.
It never gets easy, but it is worth it. You can imagine Belu as being something vulnerable. If you build a fortress around it, you're also blocking out good things as well. As much as you're protecting from spears, also that love that you could experience as well. So if you open up yourself and you put yourself at risk, you risk your commitment and they risk their commitment. That mutual risk makes the reward with it.
Bro, can I find somebody now? Because I feel like I am ready, you know, to have somebody.
Yeah,
like
a risk, I know.
But let's talk about this, which like this thing like how I feel right now reminded me of motivation. You know, there's a whole lot of motivational pieces on the net. After Udi Mamela or watching that video, you feel like, Mamela, you know what? I am going to take the world head on and I'm made for success. But then after a month, after a month, now I can no longer do this. It's more like taking a shower. You know, you take a shower because you feel like you're sweaty and you're dirty. After probably like a few hours, you still feel the same way too.
Exactly.
You have to take a shower.
You have to keep taking a shower.
You know, dog, yeah.
Addiction. So that's the problem with motivation. It's a psychological trick to give you a temporary boost. You offer that dopamine attack and you're like that you get that euphoria. But that euphoria doesn't last long. So what you should do, find a motivation that's internal. Internal motivations last longer.
How do we find them?
What drives you? What matters to you? If you look for what matters to you, that's how you focus on, that's how you get drive. Now what mattered to me since being a young kid was uplifting my community. That's how I got
superhero.
Come on. That's how I got to be in an NGO like Faculty of Best Advisory, which helps people because I've been focused on that since childhood. So even if I do work in that field, it doesn't feel like work because it's something I'm passionate about. So if you find internal motivation, work doesn't become work, it becomes joy.
Damn, and you know
and
what?
And in Koko FBA, we say the joy is in the journey.
The joy is in the journey. Yeah, dog, like the process is very important, you know, because once you don't fall in love with the process, you definitely not master whatever tunang, you know. Same with maths. Maths one is alone, same as John. And like, dog, like how do you fall in love, learn so much love with math?
I think one thing people don't understand, there is no life without maths. For example, the machinery that we're using in here, it's interpreting our voices using mathematical graphs, the sinusoidal graphs. the lighting right now, it's hitting us at a certain rate. That rate, it's a mathematical term.
Deep.
Wabo. Each curve on my girlfriend's body can be expressed as a mathematical equation.
Each figure.
Wabo. Exactly. Wabo.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
everything is defined by maths. And when I understood that, I fell in love with mathematics because I love the natural world. And mathematics can describe anything in the natural world.
Damn.
Wabo. And then in loving maths, I'm now able to do it often. So when you do something often, that's like practicing.
Damn.
And practice makes perfect.
Hectic. So I think Joe, how work out math being a practical thing and you having looked at it from that perspective, it's what makes you even more connected because you realize how it's connected to the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and like the depth of this or the basis really is understanding how whatever that you're doing is connected to the world. Because Lena, where I'm at with what I'm doing, I see how important it is to the world, you know, and when I look at myself, I'm like, would I be doing any other thing if it wasn't this?
You wouldn't.
And really, no.
So that's where you're finding the motivation. It's internal motivation.
Yeah, the girl feed.
So now you get me.
So what's next for you? Now you moved to math. Are we going to change again or are we writing another book?
I'm in the process of writing another book. I'm also not changing my degree. After my degree, I'll change to Umuzi, which I think is a great platform and school. That's why I'm considering going there. But my priorities right now is finishing what I'm doing, so that I can focus on one thing at a time. I don't want to juggle too much.
So and let's talk about the importance of focusing on one thing at a time. How did you learn about that? I think it is very important because you find a lot of us, we want to go to school, we want to focus 100% on our girlfriends, and I want to do podcasts, you know, there's a 9 to 5. How do you find that balance? For now, I'm going to focus on 2 things and still manage to make them work out. I hope that question makes sense.
It makes sense.
Okay, cool.
So now, how I went about it, I learned the hard way. I tried to take everything on all at once. And eventually it took a toll on me personally. It took a toll on my health. So when that happened, I had to stop and say, if I'm not healthy, how will I work on all of these things effectively? You can't work effectively if when yourself you aren't taking care of yourself. So in realizing that, I was like, let me calm down, let me take a step back and try to prioritize things that are very important to me. And things that are less important, I can try delegate. Things that are less important, I can try give to someone else to do.
The importance of delegating.
Exactly. So that's what I try to do, and that's what I'm still in the process of doing right now. And it's also a matter of what's comfortable to you. So if you're doing multiple things and you're comfortable, you can feel, I'm still at my peak. Then by all means, continue doing that. But as soon as you feel, my health is taking a toll, my physical strength is taking a toll, my mental health is taking a toll, reconsider and take a step back. We need to increase the rate at which we collaborate. We need to increase the accessibility. How easy is it for someone to collaborate with you? How easy is it for them to connect with you? So the idea, the sentiment itself, we don't want to collaborate. If it existed, I think it would come from a sense of lack. It's because people might think there isn't enough for everyone, so let me take as much of the pie as I can. But that's not the case.
So that's how much of funding 500 billion.
Exactly. Because they thought there wasn't enough for everyone, but there was. Get 500 billion, imagine.
Bro.
So greed is also a factor.
Damn, we were just hit by COVID-19, dog. It just hit when nobody was looking, honestly, and we were shocked. A lot of people got out of jobs, and then a lot of companies' businesses closed down. How did this affect you?
Now it affected me in a sense, for I went through a renaissance, and I think it's what everyone might be going through. I was able to now look back and decide what's important to me. Because looking at what was happening during COVID, you could see, life is short. Let me start actually living life. So that's what I started doing. I started living life during COVID-19.
Damn. During COVID-19, dreams died and then others were born. You know, people lost hope and people actually regained hope.
Even that example, yeah, for a business, some people went out of business.
Yeah.
Some people blew up. Jeff made billions during COVID.
Imagine, dog. Yeah,
people were going out of business, but Jeff were making a killing.
Everything now it's going digital. The fourth industrial revolution, so they say it's taking over. What are the skills, Salem, or you think the important amongst the young people for so that they can actually reinvent themselves by empower?
I cannot make that prediction. But what I can tell you is what the skills I'm working on.
Yeah.
Now I'm working on marketing. I'm working on coding, about being able to code anything I would like to, whether it's an app, whether it's web dev. I'm working on social skills. Social skills are very important, especially in a sense of we'll be working with people more often.
Cool.
We're working with machines less. Machines are becoming automated. So now we need to level up in the work that we're doing. We're now doing work like about customer behavior, about market research. And you need soft skills like about teamwork, collaboration, as you say. So those are the skills that I'm working on.
Nah, I feel you, dog. That's deep. So another thing, you nigga are starting a podcast. That's beautiful, dog. Like, I like to see a black man level
Inspired
up.
by yourself, Uvel.
I changed a lot of people's lives, but then they won't admit. But it's cool.
Wow.
Dog, like, tell us more about your podcast, Tola Guy, and then what do you talk about?
So my podcast is available everywhere you can find a podcast, whether it's Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, go and get it. The name is the Thorny Beanstalk.
Oh, the Thorny Beanstalk.
Yeah. So the reason behind that name was for imagine the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, where Jack was bamboozled into selling a cow for beans and found a beanstalk the next day in his backyard, a giant beanstalk. He had to climb up and fight the giant so that it could elevate his family.
You only know this story if you went to a home school.
True. But we gotta admit, we also have that privilege.
Cool.
So after he elevated his family, it's a matter of retrospecting for Hyman. Him climbing that beanstalk might have not been easy. Beanstalk might have been thorny. But he had to do it to save his family. The giant is rich, is holding wealth. Give Jeff Bezos, give Amazon, give Microsoft. They're holding wealth. They need to be cut down. We need to spread this wealth. We need to elevate. There is no reason there should be poverty and unemployment. I'm digressing. Where was I going?
Nah, but Fetu, we're talking about your podcast, dog, and it seems like if people tune into your podcast,
so the reason why we started the
podcast
is for us to have these conversations. They're very important conversations. So they are behind the closed door conversations, and they shouldn't be. So we're trying to bring these conversations to light. This podcast that we're starting, my co-host and I, which is my girlfriend.
No doubt. Damn, so you started your podcast with a girlfriend. Wow, that's very inspiring. Damn, so how did you guys come to this decision? Did you just wake up one day and like, damn, actually let's start a podcast, man? Or maybe during the pillow talk, when you're tired, shy pillow talk like
my girl and I are always going deep. We're always talking about capitalism, communism, and all of those. So it was just a matter of let's start recordings. We're having 5 conversations anyway, and they're important conversations to have. Let's include people. So anyone who can input should input. Because it's a matter of conversation.
Damn, yes. Yeah, I definitely will. I definitely show my to make sure that you check it out. It's the Thorny Beanstalk, right? Yeah, it's on iTunes. Actually, everywhere you consume your podcast. Go there, Umtole, and then we have a book also. Where do we find the book, King?
You can DM me on social media, Twitter, Tumelo AK, Instagram, Tumelo Koko _. You can also find it on my online bookstore, flutterwave.com/store/dibuka.
Cool. Go to our description section and then we'll check out the link to his bookstore. And you can also connect with him on his social media platforms. So, Doc, how we close it off here on WORD, you need to inspire us one more time. Like there's this expression or maybe this motto that drives you every day. How Hanaga that expression, you like, I'm ready to fuck shit up. Like, what would that be?
My expression here, the joy is in the journey. The joy.
That's what it is. Unfortunately, the boys would like to linger a little longer, but it's getting illiterate. Until next time, stay in rhyme. Peace out.
Peace.
Mokoka ino tlohela jo a ke dilo tsa ba bana ke steng ora ne jo